A very good morning to you on this wonderful, very wonderful, chilly. My name is Kensha Doreen. I'm joined by Mercy, and we welcome you. This is Smart Means Business on Smart 24 TV. We're delighted to have you once again join us. We have lots and lots of stories coming in, nationally, regionally, as well as international news coming in. But just to give you a hint, just a little bit of a hint into what is going to come in, we will be talking about microfinance models, overcoming barriers within microfinance, especially looking at Uganda, the Ugandan context. We also have a couple of things coming in, especially in regards to shareholders raising emergency equity funding. Most of the stories that will be coming in from the region, coming in from Kenya, from Tanzania, from DRC Congo. What else is happening? Mercy, can you give us a little bit of a hint into what will be happening with international news?
Well, of course, for international, a very good morning. My apologies, a very good morning to you watching. This is Smart Means Business here every day from Monday to Friday, so tune in when it clocks 7 a.m. till 10 a.m. Well, of course, we are going to be looking at Ethiopia, and of course, looking at how it's going to open, how the banking sector is going to open up to now, foreigners. Looking at foreign investment cap set at 40%. That is in Ethiopia. It's of course getting still in Zambia as it establishes its mineral investment, and of course looking at new production best sharing mechanisms that are going to be adopted in Zambia right there. So we are covering East Africa, covering Africa, and of course other interesting facts. Now, of course, today we're going to be looking at microfinance models. You know, we have different models, the different tiers of microfinance. We're looking at SACCOs, we're looking at non-deposit microfinance institutions. Yes. We're looking at groups. There are very many groups where a group actually goes in liability. It's a liability. So if in case someone defaults, the group is liable as well. Yes. And of course it has helped some people. That the group model, and it has been a sad news to others as well. Oh yeah, there's been quite a lot that has been coming in, especially with the urgency for the need of financing coming in from different members of the community, especially the different micro entrepreneurs coming in. But just let's have a recap. Out of the 72 trillion within the 2024-25 budget, looking at it coming in, 100 billion set aside for Emioga SACCOs, whereas 50 billion set aside for Microfinance Support Center. That is why our topic today is geared to microfinance in Uganda. What are the challenges? Is it blossoming? What are the impediments towards that? Now, looking at what happened in the different Indian and Pakistani countries coming in there, that was when, if we can give you a recap coming in later, about most of these areas being predominantly farmers and how they were struggling to access financing from formal banks. You know, you go to a formal bank and it tells you, you know what, we can't be able to give you any money today because, one, you are very high risk. Yes, most of your money comes literally entirely, all your money comes from agriculture. Today there is rain, tomorrow there is no rain, you're going to come crying in. So basically this other format, this other model of microfinance literally originated from the Indian areas, and it's gone like wildfire all throughout the entire world, bringing in much needed cash for micro entrepreneurs. This is the ability to access funding, literally finance, in just small amounts, in small amounts that may be small but are literally significant. Mercy, can you imagine being able to access 500,000 for a vegetable stall owner, maybe in Owino? Owino people have money. Yes? Oh yeah, Owino people have money. We're talking about maybe the vegetable stall owner, or the lady that does her small chapatis or maize, being able to access 200, 300,000. That's quite some good injection of money. Yes, some good injection of money. Instead of
waiting for the 1 million, 10 million, 5 million. This person here is able to access the 200 million and pay consistently. They normally get to meet once a week, or some even get to meet per day, and just giving, whether it is 3,000, whether it is payments of 5,000. But the reality about it is that this microfinance gets to push their enterprises, their businesses, quite a long distance, and many have been able to grow and move out of micro into small, and then move on from small to medium. So, have you ever got some money, Massive, from a microfinance? Oh, there is no need at the moment.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's personal.
Yes.
But actually personal. But I believe the main intention for the starting up of these microfinance institutions was to to help the low income earners. Most especially
the poor of the poor. The poor of the poor.
Even the poor ones, the average ones, do prefer microfinance, because at least they have interest rates are a bit lenient compared to the commercial banks that we're used to. So that is where most people in the different groups, rural areas, tend to go instead of the formal banks. The formal banks, because the process is very long. There are a lot of questions.
And they want collateral.
Yeah, they want collateral, so they opt for that. And I've told you the group model, where the group values.
You stand surety for your neighbor.
For your neighbor. But of course, however, there are very many challenges. There's a lot of indebtedness in those microfinances.
What have you heard so far? Word on the street. What have you heard? Let's even get down to it. What have you heard? Word on the grapevine, word on the street about microfinance. Even if personally you haven't really accessed any financing from them, what have you heard about them?
Well, of course, the interest rates are a bit fair,
compared to banks.
And of course, that is where most people in rural areas, not only in rural areas but municipality, tend to, mostly for those that are starting.
Quick money.
Yes, even for those that are starting up. So it's easier. The process is quicker, easier, and short. They give you in the shortest time possible. And it has helped very many farmers, people doing the small businesses to grow. But however, like I said, indebtedness.
Yes, the impediments, the challenges.
Oh my God, indebtedness. People are even with the low interest rates, the lower interest rates, people are finding it difficult to pay. Then there's also financial illiteracy. You have to go and as a microfinance, there's also training. You have to train these people on how to manage
and
their
all that
finances.
is burdened.
Oh yeah,
it's a burden of the microfinance.
It's really hard actually when you have to do it on a daily. Someone on what every day you're teaching someone.
They really invest in it, capacity building. Otherwise, in most cases, you get a group of people coming and they're telling you, I need some money. Yes, I'm going to do a part of it for business, but along the way, my child was sick, or this person died, or I had to contribute to my father's second wedding, so there's nothing I could do. That's why I'm late in payment. So capacity building and the rigorous training, the literacy training goes on. But I think in most cases, when not just in the case of Uganda, but elsewhere, these microfinances have brought services to the average person and to the rural poor especially. And talking about the woman, they have been able to access and to grow, to grow their monies. But also using these particular frameworks, existing structures, they have been able to access financial literacy. Things such as record keeping, knowing how to separate personal from business accounts, all those different, people used to, myself included, we used to get money and just lump sum it. Yes, you just get your money, you lump sum it, and then someone asks you, so what's your profit? You maybe tentatively, you're still in the era of tentatively, until someone comes out and says financially you are meant to separate your personal accounts from your business accounts, and this happening. So it's really been quite there. Now, whereas they are unsecured, they don't have they don't ask for collateral. There is something they call moral collateral. That means when you come together, maybe you're 5, 10, 20 women, they will look at you. I have sat in on one of those in the village when I was up country. And it was quite an experience for me because one of our village neighbors was going to sit in. They have a weekly gathering. On that particular day, it was the Thursday. And I remember I went along and I joined them under one of the microfinance community meetings. And it so happened that one of they had a new member come in and join in. But you could see that all the other, around 13 women rallied together and sat her down and really talked her down and said, please, don't put us into problems. Yes? Think about the reason as to why you are getting into this group. We do know that we are farmers. We have, it was more or less an assorted group. We are mostly farmers, but you have this one who has a shop in the town, you have this one who does this. Please do not let our marriages get into trouble, because if you don't pay your loan, if you don't pay these monies, then we'll have to dip further into our children's fees and be able to pay your loan. So that is called moral collateral. The fact that they sat you down on the very beginning, the very first beginning, and spoke to you, and morally you are obliged to actually chip in and pay your monies. So that is how you are running on trust and the morality about it. But it's been working. Yes, it's been working. Would you advise someone to go for it?
Yeah.
In the village setting or in the urban setting, where anyone can run off? Today they are here, tomorrow they've gone, they shifted at midnight. They shifted at midnight with a torch.
Well, of course, it really works best probably in rural areas, because now you can't shift.
That's your permanent address.
You're fixed there. They know where you stay. That's where your family is. Probably your ancestral home.
They can literally
really
get
find
back to you 5 generations back.
It's quite different in the urban setting, because now you do not know. You may come in late and the person has gone to another city. So it's kind of, it works well in rural settings,
whereby at least they're more tighter communities.
Yeah, the tighter communities, people know their people,
and they can track you down.
Yeah, can track you down.
We've had we've spoken to quite a number of business women, especially within the markets in the urban center, and most of them have been really vexed by the fact that the only way they can be able to access monies is in group format and using moral collateral. And most of them saying, why am I being forced to pay my errant neighbor's money? Yes? You are grouping us, and yet we are not permanently here. And then you are saying, and that's what she was in her conversation, and she was saying, can I please have my own individual loan that I can pay off? Because I cannot continuously get into debt paying my neighbor's money, because she shifted at night, So how do you, those are some of the impediments that, the challenges that microfinances often get into. But this is something as well. Is there any other challenge apart from indebtedness that you have gotten to see, Mercy?
Well, of course, there is also another challenge of actually now clients, high dropouts of clients, in microfinance institutions, people, because there is increased competition. So you find that people are dropping out of microfinance. I don't know, because of course we understand. I don't know now if they're going, because in the microfinances there are circles. Now I do not know, probably they opt for other measures of getting loans, maybe from their friends, I don't know, from family members. But when you look at the people in microfinances, the clients, they're a bit fewer.
In microfinance?
They're a bit fewer.
Okay.
Yeah, they go reducing in numbers. I don't know. Some actually do not pay their debts, and they decide to disappear all of a sudden. So that is also one of the challenges. That is why there is indebtedness. But it's also a challenge knowing that yes, we were able to get this amount of money, and I have to hook or crook. Yes, it shine, whether it has shined or it has, rained or no rain. I have to make sure that I pay this 36,500 per week. Whether you're sick, your children are sick, or anything like that. So I think one of the issues that was brought up was that Ugandans, yes, per se, are not used to
to consistent saving. So it's very difficult for the average Ugandan to get into the habit. Yes, and for the very first couple of times that they get into microfinance, sort of like formatted groups, to access the microfinance, they find it very, very difficult to save because they are not natural savers by habit. So when you get in and they tell you that every Thursday we're going to have a sitting as a group, and on that Thursday, please come with your small book. Yes, it's called a passbook, something like that, and make sure you bring your allotment. You are supposed to pay 36,500. You cannot pay 36,400. Borrow the 100 from your neighbor. You have to pay 36,500 shillings every week, every Thursday. So getting into that habit, for some it is very difficult, and that's why they fall out. So if your group started off with maybe 30 members, indeed, Mercy, at the end of the day, you may find, you dropped down to 25 in the first cycle, and then the next cycle you've dropped down to 20. But by the time you have those 18 members remaining, you know that they save consistently, they literally are developmental, they will stick by each other throughout every cycle of payment, and in most cases they track their development as well. So it works out, indebtedness.
Indebtedness is actually, because naturally for Ugandans, it's really, actually not only Ugandans, all over. It's hard for people to pay up debts, you know, because now they're thinking, probably they made this, they're thinking of now, you just expect, that is the thing that comes last to pay your debt. You know, thinking about school fees, you think about your family, and the last thing on your mind is to think of a debt, and you get an alert. You're like, wow, goodness, I hadn't planned it. I hadn't planned to pay back.
But imagine if you're in a community and each person is in your group and they're like, we meet, save. Every minute you step out of your house, they're like, have you managed? Have you reached halfway? That's rare, like a constant reminder.
It's rare.
It's a constant reminder.
It's a rare one.
I know may know particular ladies that would meet, and as they would be passing by, they'll be saying, where have you reached? Wherever she'll be like, I have around 15,000 left. Okay, I wish you well. That's almost 5 days earlier. So it was a constant reminder, but also as well as support. We will be jumping in and out of this discussion all throughout it. But right now, let's get into press review and have a look at what is inside the press. Let's have a look at it. And diving into the new vision today, we've got a couple of stories. And recently, Sunday was Father's Day. You've got, of course, yes, it was.
You know, it's confusing because I thought...
It's the third Sunday. The third Sunday every June.
Okay.
Yes. Of course, you had a couple of people ask, but it was. If you did celebrate it, it's belatedly. I celebrated as well. Please send a shout out to your fathers. Security vets, parliament chairpersons, there's still quite a lot of hot topic in regards to what has been happening. The NRM SEC members clash over nominees, as well as security vetting parliament chairpersons. There's been quite a lot of talk from the last couple of weeks, actually, in regards to their involvement, especially in regards to the budget. It's a heavy crackdown and not so good. Government wants nursery schools in markets and jails.
What?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Nursery schools. That's
because
that's good.
I mean, if you've noticed, most some women in prisons have kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's very hard to have them mix.
Yes, for the inmates.
Yeah.
And Museveni offers 413 million support to Buganda Kingdom's coffee project. There's been quite a push on that. But remember, coffee has been predominantly been pushed in Greater Masaka region. So this comes in handy. Police bust racket linked to forgery of 800 land titles and transcript. Beware, please. There's been quite a lot of hype about titles and land titles because of the land grabbing. But now, this is a racket linked to forgery of 800 land titles. Well, some good news coming in is that something has been done by the police about that. In other news, over 450 owners paid to protect tenants from eviction. Government buys over 21,000 acres from landlords in Buganda. Compensated land, of course, has also been listed. Compensated land in Buganda. For example, some of the counties that are concerned are Singo, Buwekula Koki, Luweero, Busuju, Chagwe, Sembabule. It's all over the Buganda area. And then ISO Vets Parliament Committee chairpersons. You have suspected serial killer and 3 others charged over women murders. In some good news, UNEB registers 1.3 million candidates. Of course, you have a feature, and in our future, for God's love and grace sustains marriage, helps in parenting. You have Natasha and Edwin Karujire coming.
Family.
Yes, and talk about strong families. Families are disintegrating every now and then in Uganda, and it was a shocker coming in, especially with the statistics that came in during the pandemic about the pandemic's effect on families. There's been quite a lot of rallying coming in, especially from the different churches and religious institutions, about how to keep the family together. So as people celebrated Father's Day or over Sunday, this was still an outcry that families should be held together. Buikwe RDC speaks out on clash with minister. For more information, get yourself a copy of the New Vision. What's in the Daily Monitor?
Well, of course, making headlines here, and of course looking at the well-being of students in schools, looking at how school food leaves a bitter taste, says government, and of course a report by the Ministry of Health carried out last year among 4,008 adolescent learners between the age of 15 and above from 60 private and public schools, indicating that majority of learners are eating non-nutritious foods, or those that increase risks of developing non-communicable diseases such as diabetes and heart diseases. So they're here giving us a highlight of what is required, seeing here vegetables, whole grain, nuts, fruits. These are healthy for these adolescents. But they choose to eat jovas, they choose to eat burgers, they choose to eat take sodas.
But at school, it's portion beans.
I know,
portion beans, rice, peas. Yes.
Yeah, I'm seeing food without sufficient nutrients. Portion beans doesn't.
But the ones who grew up on portion beans, well, what about them? Well, the ones who grew up on, and I've had this discussion with others as well, Mercy. The ones who grew up on portion and beans for decades and decades.
It's good, but it's not balanced.
It's not balanced.
It's not a balanced diet.
You have your proteins, you have your carbohydrates, yes. And maybe if you're lucky, some fat thrown in, as well as some panga chopped cabbages as well thrown in.
It is a good meal to satisfy.
Yes.
But it's not balanced. There's a difference between a good meal and a balanced one.
Well, move on and let us know what else is in.
Yeah, well, of course, still here as police summons MPs over 146 billion for cooperatives. Yeah, your money is here. Ladies and gentlemen, those who are into cooperatives, 146 billion. Do you know how much people would tap onto this? This is a lot of money. And we are looking at, I don't know how many business startups are looking at farmers tapping on this billions of money, and MPs again on it. I don't know.
And I can see budget corruption as well, evidence against MPs presented in court.
Yes,
this is some nasty business coming in.
That is
MPs.
why yesterday, was it Sunday on it? They were talking about corruption. I mean, this is a song of the song that we sing every day.
Well, let us hope that this will be sustained.
Well, on that note, government introduces an app to monitor its programs, talk about yoga, talk about PDM. Yeah, and of course under this program, every parish is supposed to get 100 million every year for 5 years to fund the enterprises selected by community members. 100 million each parish.
Okay, to do what?
The program.
For the app?
No, for the program.
For the program?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
PDM?
Yeah. I don't think even a Myoga, probably, because I think. Now, of course, still in this report, the government launched the branch development model in 2022, and of course, they've been looking for means on how to track, the money.
Yes.
Yeah,
and that was a big
this
challenge.
Application now is going to be viable because there are very many apps. There have been systems, but nothing. Why are we seeing now money? This one, 146 billion. Yeah. How? Well, I'm at loss of words, but and of course, increased budget allocations to agriculture sector. Yeah, the 644 billion I told you was not enough, honestly, for agriculture.
Of course,
if it's the one we are forefronting, it's not enough. Unless it would have been 1.2 trillion or something. It can be 2 billion, trillion at least. That would be fair, but the backbone of our economy it was quite little.
But you have different programs that feed into the agriculture sector.
Yeah, yes? We have.
That feed into and having that linkage. We talked about it. You had 1.8 trillion going in for agro-industrialization.
Oh, yeah.
So basically, even if you've pushed in quite a lot of money into the production area, agro-industrialization, which is being really pushed for, is still getting in trillions, 1.8 trillion, and that should be able to have whatever soya bean and maize and everything channeled right into there for value addition so that it can move out.
Oh my God, I'm seeing here the IGAD warn youth against poll violence ahead of the 2026 elections.
There's a little bit of chaos.
They are forcing.
No, because there's a little bit of chaos as well.
Apparently, yesterday there were live gun bullets in Sonia News. In Lugidi, is it Lugidi? Yeah.
Within Uganda?
In Uganda.
Oh.
Yeah. Sorry. Where else would it be? Now, of course, and of course, Stress help 49 help 49% school dropouts. Says Kadagati is the first deputy prime minister. 49. These kids are dropping out of school. Due to the increased, overwhelming tuition that they have to pay, and parents are overwhelmed. So, and the demands of school.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and of course, looking here, electric cars are the future. But is Uganda ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Yeah.
Well, when it comes to borders, I also had you've sat on one?
I've sat actually
it's amazing.
4 times. It's quiet.
Very amazing. You can actually get the difference immediately. Yes, but I was more interested in what challenges they meet. And when I had this conversation with the border guy, he told me actually it's very easy to access the changing areas for the battery. Yes, it's very easy, but also very affordable.
It's affordable, and it goes for a longer, what is it? Distance.
He actually told me that for the battery, for his particular battery, he uses around 13,000.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. For an entire full battery, he said it comes up to around 10. So even if you have 6,000, yes, or even 5,000, you can still go back and have your battery recharged. Get a swap for that level of that.
Yeah. The only challenge I also saw was the first, when you're purchasing the bicycle, it's a motorcycle. Okay.
Yeah,
it is a bit expensive.
It's quite expensive.
But once you get it, it's cheaper.
True.
Compared to fuel.
True.
I mean, fuel, no. How? If you're coming from here to Chisasi, someone needs around maybe 10,000.
It's much less, though they charge you 10.
The normal one.
The normal one. It's much less, but they charge you that amount. It's much less.
But it's easy. It's comfortable. You don't hear the bumps on the road.
To me, what struck me was the fact that he was so optimistic, because I asked him, do you think that there's going to be a phase out of the old ones? And he said, surely, because he cited already three different models, and he said the last one, his is in the middle, and according to his repayment, he got it like at 9 million because he's been repaying for the last couple of months. Yes, of course, the longer the period, the repayment period, the higher the eventual cost. But he told me that the latest model is far superior than what he has. But the optimism that he had when he was talking about this experience, I think, is what matters, because it shows you the electric bikes and cars is the way to go right now.
Well, of course, I'm looking here at the finance minister allocated Chira Motors 32.5 billion.
How much?
32.5 billion for the completion of the manufacturing plant in Ginger Industrial Park, which is expected to produce 2,500 vehicles per year.
Oh, that's some good news coming in.
Hope they're electric.
They should be.
They should be.
Some good news coming in.
They should be. And yes. I'm hoping for more
projects.
But the battery stations. Yeah. Once this is done,
I think I believe that if at all this, especially for the electric boarders, for the electric motorcycles, is going as seamlessly and unencumbered with no challenges, then I believe the cars, for the cars, it will as well be the same.
Well, that is it for our press review. And of course, we're just slightly into the time of our break. Let's go for a short commercial break, but coming up is what is happening in East Africa and of course within Africa as we get back.
You used to tell me that I don't make you happy. All that time you would be complaining. I'll call you every day, yeah yo, baby don't know.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000 or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100*21# and select daily or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
This is GOTV, and right here is where you can catch the brilliance of Mbappe, the scoring power of Kane, Ronaldo's, and all of the greats fighting for the glory to be crowned the kings of Europe. Don't miss the unbeatable action of all 51 games, Europe's biggest football event, live on SuperSport on GOTV and GOTV Stream. The Euro 2024 live. That's GOTV for you. Love it.
Luxury redefined at Seasan Hotel as you indulge in the splendor of elegant living fit for the royalty that you are. Step into comfort, pampering and blissful customer-centric service as you select from our range of comfy exquisite living quarters furnished to meet with your royal preference. Surrounded by scenic beauty, our tropical setting allows you to escape the glamorous ordeal of city life. Our ambient green gardens will guide you to a place of revitalizing rest. The 3-star restaurant caters to your palate, serving your choice menu ranging from exotic cuisines to local delicacies. Our chefs will serve you full-course meals for a truly out-of-this-world culinary experience. Our fully stocked bar to whet your throat, from renowned global brand whisks, brandies, gins, beers and wines to our locally celebrated beverages, you will not lack for any brewage. It's an all-new experience in the East at Seasan Hotel. So visit today at plot 15 to 19 Spire Road, Ginger, or contact us on +256 751 719 960 and +256 785 354 614 for reservations. Seasan Hotels, luxury redefined.
Amanya gange nze Nabaloga Barbara naviiridde mu Kiteezi nga mbadde nkola ebyemikono mu weaving ow'emikono nga naye nkozesa ngalo na mpiso neza bulijjo. Wano mazeewo weeks 2 mu training eno, nyongedde okukuguka mu kukola table mats nga nkozesa ebintu ebyaffe ebyawano ebya bulijjo ng'ebyayi, ewuzi, nga nkozesa kamashini. Naye obuzibu bwensanze mu kuyiga kwange kuno nti kineetagisa okuba nga nina mashini okusobola okwongera okukola ebintu byange nga bwe mbiyize nga nfunye kamashini. So neebaza aba GROW abatuteekekedde omusomo guno ne PSFU okututeekamu ssente ne batulowoozaako ne batuteekamu omusomo guno. Mbeebaliza ddala era obubaka bwempa basaba banteekemu obwesige ne ssente sobole okwongera omutindo gwange nga bwe nbiyize wano.
GROW, generating growth opportunities and productivity for women enterprises.
Smart 24, driving business.
Karibu East Africa. Welcome back from the break. Let's dive straight into regional news with the latest coming in from the different countries in the East African community. Now coming in from here is physical works progress at 33%, more than a year since Chinese financiers and the developers of the East African crude oil pipeline, EACOP, entered negotiations to bankroll the project's date. A massive hole remains in the financing structure as the loans amounting to about $3 billion are not imminent, forcing shareholders into emergency measures to raise additional equity funding. When fresh cash calls for the project came in last month, the EACOP shareholders dug deep to raise money and avert that would and export crude from Uganda's oil field to the Lake Albert region. But Total Energy's executives said last week that the project's physical works were facilitating the line pipe, stringing and laying of line pipes, and building pumps to be year. With a cash officials say National Oil Company UNOC, the second commercial interest, a further $35 in answer to the latest from delayed debt financing. CEO Proskovia Nabanja said. The IACOP shareholders are Total Energies, which hold 60% of Uganda. Stake on behalf of the government of Tanzania, while Sinok has 8% shareholding. The biggest project spending for IACOP is on the engineering, procurement, construction and management contractor, supply of pipeline equipment, including line pipes and pumping stations, as well as compensation of project-affected persons along the route from Western Uganda to Tanga. For instance, the total amount spent on financial compensation is approximately $39 million, while the amount spent to compensate project-affected persons in kind amounts to approximately $62 million, including $25 million for the construction of new houses, according to the Total Energies records. But in summation, the 1,443-kilometer pipeline from Hoima to Uganda to Tanga Port in Tanzania is a $5 billion project expected to reach financial close this year, with the nearly $3 billion debt component of IACOP financing coming from Chinese financiers, Exim Bank and Sino-Sure. some sad news as well coming in on one side.
Yeah, I saw it actually from the very beginning, having issues, trying to have having issues, with Kenya, regarding the pipeline and all that, and it's been stalling, even people having financed, so now they're in debt, now we're in debt.
Yes.
Can you imagine even the money we had actually lobbied for? It's not enough.
It isn't.
It's not enough, and I don't think most of the people have really fully been compensated.
No, they haven't.
So you can imagine a project that was supposed to probably start this year, 2026. That is when they expect for us to start, having, exporting oil. Yeah. So for now, we are still. I think we shall have to look for more finances, to finish up this project.
And that's the truth about joint projects, especially when you have different countries on board. It has happened as well with the railway. It has happened. It's now happening with the pipeline as well. The reality is that when it comes down to different countries, no matter how committed and no matter how much they may want this to be rushed, the reality is that if at all there's a little bit of an upheaval in the economy in specific countries, they will channel their efforts and into sort of like stabilizing and then leave the different projects on the side for the time being. We've seen that happen, especially post-pandemic, looking at Kenya having all these different issues, looking at Tanzania as well, trying to balance the boat. And of course, Uganda is not exempted. It's also trying to balance the boat. So when it comes to this, to projects such as this, the railway, and then obviously the pipeline project, they are bound to be affected. But the reality now, the shocking part about it is the fact that we are anticipating for these monies, these oil monies. And when it comes down, you are seeing quite a lot of jubilation coming in as well from different Ugandans and even the financial officials saying there should be some money coming in very soon from oil. And yet,
we are really expecting it, but so far, 33.3%.
It's very expectant, yes.
That's where the project is, 33.3%. So you can imagine the 60, percent left. How long is it going to take for us to finish up? Is it going to be by close of next year, or we could wait for 2026?
Now this has been marred. This project has been marred by
people
all
really
sorts
invested a lot for this pipeline. People bid.
Yes, you had the environmental concerns from the very beginning. Yes, that were the protests across the globe, with a couple of them feigning that there was going to be positive, that there was going to be quite some degradation, and then you of course later on had in the different compensation complaints from the PAPs, the project affected persons as well coming in, and of course when you get to look at huge projects such as this, that the different environmental as well as the different social concerns must be safeguards have to be highlighted.
The ironical part about it, it is, there is oil in Saudi, there is oil, but when it comes to us, why is it a concern? And because I don't think Uganda emits more than 1%.
Yes, and coming to really
carbon.
down to look at that, Mercy.
I am really disturbed actually when it came to us after finding our discovery,
because
we are planning for it.
Most of the funding is coming from them. Yes, most of the funding as well. If the funder comes out and says to be able to access this, you must make sure that you comply to the ESF, frameworks and all those. You must be able environmentally and socially.
I don't think we could have our oil and compensate with the environment in other aspects, okay? Because we are very vast with vegetation. Actually, let me tell you, if we could only tap and help educate people on how to conserve the environment and all that, the Mavira, plant more trees, we are good to go. The oil won't affect us in any way.
It won't affect us.
We are really vast. If you look at Saudi and Uganda, there is a huge difference. There is vegetation. Idle
vegetation. And the fact that it went through the national park also does not brings quite a lot of concerns. Because of course you're not only looking at areas that had people settled in, you're also looking at a couple of other impacts, and this is responsible. It's responsible development when it comes down to it, because the reality about it is that you can just look at, let's come in and develop and have the oil, but at that, the people that are going to be affected, basically their livelihoods, you're sinking them further and further into poverty. And that's why when you look at compensation, it comes under responsible development. So anything to do in regards to compensation, the project affected persons have to receive their compensation. That is only just normal, because some of these areas where the pipeline is passing definitely were farming areas. So where do you expect him to go? This is why they come in kind, some of the compensations in kind, in which they have been able to put up housing for them elsewhere, help them to start up their businesses elsewhere, and also give them compensatory land financing so that they can be able to maybe start off the different.
But on a good note, the Albertan region is booming. Yeah, the Albertan region is booming. If you go to places like Hoima, it's hard to get an affordable place. I mean, they have elevated now the other status. The oil.
That's called prospective investment. Prospective investment comes in whereby prospectors are actually anticipating that at any one time, even way before all this, I think, hit the media, you must have had talk over the corridors, in the corridors of power, and you had quite a lot of land grabbing even before the project started, because there are those who are prospectors as well, saying, let us get it there, exactly, and we're offering to buy land at exorbitant prices, well aware that at one time they will be compensated. That happens as well.
Well, crossing over to Tanzania, looking at how the Tanzanian economy grew by 5.1% last year, and of course, they were giving recap of last year's performance, as we set pace into this financial year. Well, of course, the economy expanded by 5.1% in 2023, despite the impacts of adverse global economic situations, and is projected to grow by 6% this year, that is 2024. Now, presenting at the State of the Economy of the National Assembly last week, the Minister of State in the President's Office, Professor Kitila Nkumbo, said that the main drivers of growth were strategic investments in energy and transport infrastructure, tourism, mineral exports, as government undertook measures to cushion the economy from adverse impacts of economic uncertainties. Well, of course, however, despite the stellar growth of the economy, it was slightly below 5.2% at the target of 2022, at least about 5, mainly because of the rise in production costs in some sectors, and of course looking at the prolonged rains, climate change and conditions which affected agricultural production and damaged roads and bridges in some areas, which has been last year. The rains were so much, close to last year, the rains were so much, there was a lot of damage in Tanzania and Kenya, and of course also us in Uganda, we also have mudslides, we have landslides. Even the rains actually do disrupt the farmers. Now, of course, the minister also said the situation was also compounded by the impact of monetary policy tightening in advanced economies, which increased cost of borrowing from the global financial markets, contributing to tight credit conditions, negatively affecting production. Well, with the growth which slowed at to 4.7% in 2020 from 44.9% in 2021, that is during the COVID-19 era, due to the war in Ukraine and Russia, which affected everyone. Now, of course, the minister also said in last year, Tanzania's GDP value in the current prices reached 188 trillion. Trillion from 171.3 trillion in 2022. Well, of course, still last year, growth of agricultural activities that included cultivation of crops, there was livestock, there was forestry and fishing was at 4.2%, up from 3.3% of 2022. And of course, they give thanks to government's fertilizers subsidy programs that made agriculture input more affordable to farmers, as well as sufficient and timely rains in many areas. When it came to arts and entertainment sector, can you imagine? Arts and entertainment led with 17%. Wow.
For our boo-boo, their tutu is working well.
An industry where people disregard is now booming in some economies. Grew by 17%, followed by financial and insurance sector, which was at 12.2%. And minerals, which was at 1%, food and accommodation 8.3%. Increase. Now, of course, despite in leading in growth, entertainment and arts sector contributed little in economic growth, as it attracted a few people in various activities, which included film, drama, music, sculpture, painting, and all the likes. So this is a good report from Tanzania, and they're hoping for an increase by 6%. So you can imagine there was an increase in a sector that most people do not really emphasize much on. That's in arts and entertainment, but also in agriculture as well, 4.2%.
But they had a subsidy, so they give their farmers, some help. So you can see how organized they are. Yes. But also the arts industry, arts entertainment in Tanzania is massive. They really support. The boo-boo this side, Buy Uganda, Build Uganda, may take it's still coming up. I don't know if it's called Tutu. No, it's Build Tanzania. Buy Tanzania, Build BTBT. But of course, coming in from that side, they really support their musicians. They are the number one, and they really pay for that, so it's quite a formidable.
It reminds me of Nigeria as well.
Yes.
Nigeria's when it comes entertainment,
definitely
highly. In some percentage.
When it comes to Uganda, maybe this is something that is still arising. It's just upcoming.
It's upcoming, It's not one of the sectors that is really important, because you sort yourselves out. We have culture, we have industry, we have very important things to focus on other than entertainment. I mean, those ones can...
But at any one time, if you look at Nollywood, Bollywood, and Hollywood, you will notice that these are sectors that really bring in quite a lot of money. But apart from that, let's dive in straight into the internationals. And coming in from Ethiopia, Ethiopia has announced an economic liberalization move, allowing foreign banks to establish local subsidiaries and permitting foreigners to acquire shares in domestic lenders, in domestic lending. This decision, part of a broader government plan to liberalize the economy, was approved by the cabinet on Friday. Ethiopia, with a population exceeding 100 million, is one of the largest economies in sub-Saharan Africa and has been a long-sought market for foreign investors after being closed off for decades. This year, the International Monetary Fund even projects that Ethiopia's economy will overtake Kenya and Nigeria as the second largest economy in sub-Saharan Africa. Authorities are also opening up Ethiopia to foreign investment across various sectors, including banking, telecoms, transportation, and aviation. The draft law, which must be passed by lawmakers, stipulates that foreign bank subsidiaries must include local resident, non-shareholder Ethiopians on their boards of directors. This bill states that the aggregate shareholding by foreign nationals and foreign-owned Ethiopian organizations in a bank will be limited to 40% of the total shares. Direct shareholding by strategic investors will be capped at 30% stake. Some protectionism coming in there, and it's significant. These legislations represent a significant step in laying a strong foundation for growth and enhancing the credibility, accountability, transparency, and governance of the National Bank of Ethiopia, the central bank said in a statement. Overall, Ethiopia's banking industry is dominated by the state-owned Commercial Bank of Ethiopia, with a total of 29 players, all of which are locally owned. In May last year, the central bank announced plans to offer 5 banking licenses to foreign investors within 5 years. And more coming in, more news. Zambia establishes Mineral Investment SPV. A new production-based sharing mechanism has been adopted. Zambia will set up a new entity for investment and trading in minerals as it seeks to earn more from its natural resources. The government of Zambia, Africa's second largest copper producer, which currently owns several mining assets through ZCCM Investment Holdings, will establish a special purpose vehicle for investment and trading purposes, it said. The new entity would help Zambia move away from the dividend payment model for mineral resources and adopt a production-based sharing mechanism to ensure benefits accrue to the people of Zambia beyond statutory obligations, this cabinet said. This new business model would allow for sharing of minerals produced, as well as enable the government to negotiate mineral prices and ensure the correct declaration of mineral consignments designated for export and domestic use, it added. ZCCM has interests in mines, including those owned by Vedanta Resources and Fast Quantum Minerals. It recently sold a 51% stake in Mopani copper mines to a unit of UAE International Holding Company, retaining the remainder. In February, Mines Minister Paul Kabuswe noted Zambia planned to negotiate larger holdings in new mining projects as it seeks to raise its revenue and boost spending by investors on social projects. The country, which produced 698,000 metric tons of copper in 2023, down from 763,000 metric tons the previous year, is targeting 3 million metric tons in annual output within the next decade as demand for the metal used in the electricity and construction industry rises. That's news coming in from the internationals, as well as Zambia and Ethiopia coming in with some good news, and foreign caps investment set at 40% for Ethiopia. Let's take a short break and we'll be right back with different quotes and tips to take you through the day.
like no other. Makes your meal so sweet and scrumptious. The taste of Uganda. Yeah, the taste of Uganda. The taste of Uganda. Yeah,
Amanya gange nze Namtebi Sharon nga nkolera wano wennyini Saka Kirombe oba Makindye. Empangula gye nawanguddemu ssente mbadde nga nkozesa mobile money nga nsindika school fees w'omwana ku ssomero. Okutegeera nti mpangudde nze mutima neegambye nti kambalinde bamale okujja ndyoke nzikirize nti mpangudde. Kyennyinza okubagamba nti si byabafere weewaawo abafere gye bali naye ennamba eri emu yokka era bw'eba ekukubidde omanya eyo si yabafere. Mpulira bulungi nnyo 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 era ndi musanyufu nnyo. Naye MTN mobile money mbebaza nnyo mwebale nnyo mwebalire.
Together we're unstoppable.
Are you a female business owner in Uganda looking to grow and transform your business? Grow empowers you with access to entrepreneur services, accelerating your business growth from micro to small and from small to medium enterprises. Grow provides comprehensive support, including training, startup tools, business formalization, certification, networking opportunities, access to affordable credit and grants, coaching, and mentorship, with all resources available for free. For more information, please visit grow.go.ug. Contact the PSFU Grow officers at Trust Towers, ground floor, plot 4 Chadondo Road, Nakasero, or the Ministry of Gender at plot 2 George Street, Simba Manyo House, 3rd floor. Call us at +256 394 514 071. This message is brought to you by the Grow Project, a Government of Uganda project implemented by the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development and PSFU, funded by the World Bank. Grow, generating growth opportunities and productivity for women enterprises.
Luxury redefined at Seasan Hotel as you indulge in the splendor of elegant living fit for the royalty that you are. Step into comfort, pampering and blissful customer-centric service as you select from our range of comfy, exquisite living quarters furnished to meet with your royal preference. Surrounded by scenic beauty, our tropical setting allows you to escape the glamorous ordeal of city life. Our ambient green gardens will guide you to a place of revitalizing rest. The 3-star restaurant caters to your palate, serving your choice menu ranging from exotic cuisines to local delicacies. Our chefs will serve you full-course meals for a truly out-of-this-world culinary experience. Our fully stocked bar to whet your throat, from renowned global brand whisks, brandies, gins, beers and wines to our locally celebrated beverages, you will not lack for any brewage. It's an all-new experience in the East at Seasan Hotel, so visit today at plot 15 to 19 Spire Road, Ginger, or contact us on +256 751 719 960 and +256 785 354 614 for reservations. Seasan Hotels, luxury redefined.
Smart 24, driving business.
And well, even in our day, how do you approach it with a positive in your mind? Have just get us a little bit of a sneak peek into what those successful entrepreneurs have been have done to make their life better. So let's have our business quote for the day. Indeed, a great quote coming in. That's quite insightful. We have Noah join us today. Noah, welcome.
What are you fixing today?
Yes.
What are you fixing today? What are you making?
And who are you helping? Amazing.
This is a service related. These are service related questions.
It's not even service related. It can
business related, product related.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
I feel that it should be the question that comes to all business people, because sometimes when we are making products and planning for services to deliver them, we forget that we need to think about people who are going to consume them. And we forget about the solutions we are supposed to create for people out there.
Yeah.
And to me, I think that's the biggest lesson to business people. Because,
And for all those who are unemployed and saying we are unemployed, can government tuyambe within that particular niche, they can sit down and ask,
you can come up with something.
What are you fixing? What can I fix? What can I make? And who can I help?
But wait, actually, this also goes to the innovators. Someone is sitting out there and you're thinking, okay, I have no business, I have no job. Where can I start from?
Look
around. There are lots of things to fix.
The problems first.
There are lots of things to fix in technology, in agriculture, in health, in
society.
Fix something.
Fix something.
We are fixing the media today.
We are fixing the media. This is Smart Means Business on Smart 24 TV driving business. This is our niche, bringing you the latest national, regional, as well as international.
And think about who you're helping, by the way.
Sure.
There are mothers out there. There are children out there. All of them need services. They need products. They need somebody to speak to them. You could be a counselor.
Yeah.
You could be a business consultant. You could be a communications consultant. I think that's a very good quote for the morning.
There's a lot to be done. I love this. I love this.
I love it.
You love it too.
I love it.
I know. 3 guiding questions. What are you fixing? What are you making? And who are you helping? That should help you. Please ruminate. Just think about this. But getting back, as we started this today, we thought about microfinance. We talked about, we had just a little bit of insight with in our conversation with Mercy earlier on from 7 o'clock. And we were talking about microfinance. Has it helped Ugandans? Under what pretext, under what models is it being implemented? Is it being conducted in Uganda? And we came down, Noah, we were talking about the group formats, because normally they are looking at the very, very underserved people within the community, the very poor of the poor coming in. And of course, when they are giving them their services, they are offering microcredit, just the the least amounts. we had this conversation with Mercy and talked about how they get together in the group formats, most of them, yes, get together, especially within the rural setting, even in urban settings.
They form some saving groups.
And they form some saving groups, and they're able to tap and access.
Are those the micro loans?
Yes, those little loans for the person who is doing their chapatis, and then for the maize stall owner, for the vegetable stall owner being able to access 200, 300, 500 and 800,000. That is an injection of capital that is really keeping them alive. Now, getting into our business updates, we want to find out, are they actually impacting on low-income earners in Uganda? Are they helping? What have you heard about microfinances so far?
Microloans have been a thing for decades, and they have helped in elevation of poverty or reduction of poverty.
Yeah.
For over the time. I think I'm one of those Ugandans that have had an opportunity to help, have worked with an NGO that was helping people to form micro loans. I saw the benefits that people got from it. There were churches, we worked with churches, about 10 of them, so that we could train them. They form these micro loans, and then they begin lending the money to different people. Some of them were doing poultry farming, some of them were doing small retail shops. And you could realize that solution that came from it were tremendous. People had the opportunity to pay for their children's school fees.
Definitely.
Others were finishing their buildings, others were doing different things. But also even middle income earners who are struggling with different things, they are the breadwinners.
They can be able to access those loans immediately.
Yeah, I don't know if you want me to talk about the challenges, because the challenges are also
the challenges. The challenges. Have you heard? I'm very sure you have, about those ones whereby you wake up in the morning and the chairperson and the treasurer have literally run off.
Yes,
they run off with all your millions, and you find, oh dear, the women are seated, the men are seated, and they don't know where to start.
Yes.
Yes.
But you see, these microfinance credits, they go beyond just the ones we have explained. They are also now into, I think also people who are, giving money to people.
The lending? Lending.
Is lending under microfinance? Isn't it under microfinance?
The microfinances give loans. They lend, yes. And what microfinancings do is they come between the formal, like the middle strata. They come between the formal bankings, the banks that really charge and need the security. And then they're also on the lower end, you have the money lenders. The money lenders who come in at 50%. Yes, as in I'm giving you, but even 70%.
It's a part that is that hits me so hard because some of these microfinance projects have reached the extreme, and then they basically need to be regulated. There are people also who start.
Yes.
There are people also who start well, and in the process they realize money is getting sweet, and they exploit the beneficiaries.
That's true.
Which is something that instead of alleviating poverty,
they actually exacerbate.
They bury people into challenges. We had
the very first talk that was actually brought out about the negative impacts was in India, when a number of there was an increase in farmer suicides. You heard about it? There was an increase in farmer suicides because of the monies, and these guys here had different avenues of collecting their monies back. It was such a terrible thing, but it brought about the insight into how something good can go wrong.
What you're talking about also brings me to the people who are giving loans to borders. Have you tried to follow the story of border loans?
The little that I've heard about has, like I mentioned with Mercy about one border man on an electric motorcycle, and he said, well, as for him, he didn't have any particular concerns. I think because they had given him an option, either it's 1 year or 1.5. It's either 8 months or 1 year or 1 year and a half. So he had chosen the upper.
So the challenge is some of these people are taking advantage of these border people. So they will give you a border, and you pay, like you've paid half of the money. Yeah. So the border, actually the borders, a number of these motorbikes are at a cost of 5 million. But when they're giving them to you at a loan, when they're giving them to the border guys at a loan, they pay 9 million at the end of the day.
Instead of 5 million?
Yes, on loan. Yeah. Of course, they give you with extra time to pay. Yeah. So some of the challenges that are happening is that they give you that money, but you have paid like 4 millions or even 6 millions, and then when you miss to pay,
the fine.
Some of them are actually not even about missing to pay. They avoid you. They trick you like you have missed to pay, and then they come and take the border, and you don't even recover the money you've paid them.
Really?
Oh, that is the reality that is happening in Uganda.
That is terrible.
I think when you assess the whole issue of the microfinance projects and loan projects, they are a big solution to poverty elevation
and access to finance.
But the regulation right now is the problem.
Yes. But we can't as well, no, we can't blanket, we can't use a sweeping, blanket all microfinances. You do have those that are really commendable. Yes, and then of course you have the others. You can never fail to find that wolf hiding among the sheep. You do have those ones that will come up and really are exorbitant, and what you have just mentioned right now, coming in, you've already paid your 4 million, and then just because you've missed one payment, they come up and seize the border, and you can't start. Of course, the reality about it is that there must be more transparency in this, because we know the potential for this and how awesome it can be for the lower bracket, the lower income earners. But of course the regulation as well must be there. We have had concerns, especially some calling reporting, quote unquote, reporting to the president and saying, can he do something? And in recently in his last address, there was a mention about the loans. Yes, about the
some of them already, but you see the money lenders now, that's the drama that has caused a lot of
70%.
So where my focus would be is the online money lenders.
Yes, those ones.
Those have caused a lot of havoc. The interest is
ridiculous.
Insane.
It is ridiculous.
And besides the interest being insane, they have their implementation is too harsh. It's two-way harsh.
They call all the people, all the contacts.
So here is the trick. When people are signing up, they will tell them to make sure that they have access to your contacts.
Yeah.
Now
that's online.
Yes. So they will have access to your contacts on your phone, and they will call everyone. They will not just call people, they will insult whoever is related to you that you put as a guarantor.
Oh dear.
You get? Now that is not business, because in business, maybe they need training, or possibly they are not just business people, they are possibly conmen. And of recent reports come out that some of these people are not even regulated, they are not even recognized by the authorities. There's a gentleman that has been unfolding this story on Twitter. I actually invited him on my show. I haven't confirmed, but he has been following. He has been following up on these issues, and the way they handle things is way unprofessional. There is no CRM, no customer relations management at all.
No, the customer relations is there at the beginning. Is there at the beginning? They hold you with very good gloves, and really until you miss. Actually, a day before, from what I know, a day before, and then the harassment starts. But it's the embarrassment. But the reality about it is something ought to be done, because clearly the need for money is really, really paramount at the moment. You have those ones that really, really need the money, but you also have the business owners that want that extra 500 to just push into their business. But also it shows you the untapped potential for unsecured loans in Uganda, because not everyone has that car logbook. Not everyone has that title. Yes, and yet you have if you walk into the bank right now, the banking sector is also making it easier, because as in the last discussion that we had with some of my colleagues from elsewhere, they were talking about the fact that right now, if you walk into a bank, you may not have any particular asset, but you have the documentation, the business documentation to show that you have been getting money and you have a relationship with these as a supplier. They will be able to give you a loan based on that.
One of the other things that I looked at is that for some of these, when people fail to pay, it goes on record. Banks have what is that authority called?
The CRB, the Credit Bureau. Yes,
Credit Bureau.
But it's good.
On record that you don't pay. But now you're looking at a situation whereby CRB is monitoring your payback record of how trusted you can be. Some of this influence a lot of things, especially when you want to get bigger loans. But now, while they do that, I think there should be clear indicators that they're actually following up on these money lenders to make sure that people are also protected. Unfortunately, by the time the president was talking about it, it was almost too late. And to me, that's what disturbs me most of the time, that actually the president has to always come out
to say something.
And he's facilitating authorities, CRBs,
who have been there.
Bank of Uganda is there, Microfinance Regulations Authority is there, Minister of Finance is there.
He's the final say.
And the president has to come out and wait for the address to talk over Zukuru. You see,
let's do something. But honestly, talking about that, when it comes down to sleeping dogs, yes, the sleeping dogs, something has to be done. This particular outcry has been there for quite a while. Quite a while in the papers, on social media, different testimonies being given by scam beneficiaries.
Yes.
Someone got a loan of 300 and now owes them 4 million. 300, 500, and you owe them 4 million. But recently, the microfinance institution the regulatory institution was saying that Ugandans should be able to get there and report such cases. And they were saying that so far they have received a couple of cases in regards to these online
money lenders.
Yes, money lenders. Whether they are online or down on ground, really, they're exorbitant.
You see, the cases that I have read about indicate that these people basically, after you have signed up, it's like they own the clients. Somebody said he called them and told them to delete his account, because when you sign up, now you are in their system. And he said they couldn't help to delete the account, so you can't close the account.
Oh, it remains open.
It remains open. They have their contact. After they have grilled their clients to pay money, they come back, after they have paid, they come back again to sweet talk them. And you see Ugandans are desperate out there. They need money. Still someone ends up borrowing. So it's like that sort of prison that has been created, a trap that has been created, which it should be flexible, that if someone wants out, should be out. If somebody wants to find a way of, talking to you, he should talk to you. They will call people with about 15 different numbers. It's traumatizing.
It's traumatizing.
Microfinance.
Some harsh reality. But let's get back to the topic as well. This is under microfinance. This is under microfinance. But what can be done? Better monitoring. And of course, for me, over and over, I keep on telling people that, and even professors, I'm sure even you have told people before, that Uganda has good policies on paper, but implementation. We sleep in the implementation zone. But it starts step by step. I think something can be done.
Come on, you can't say step by step.
Step by step, something can be done. Noah, this has to be consistent. Yes, you must be aware of what is happening down on ground. Being aware about it and then you sleep on it is a challenge. And this is what is happening. Because you can't tell me that they're not aware. They are aware, but they sleep on it. Go to the next step. Yes, the next step is basically, can you identify them? Can you put these laws are already in place. Can you tighten them?
But you see, Doreen, Uganda and implementation, people have failed to understand the trick between implementation struggles in Uganda. The very people that are in charge of implementing the law are the very investors in the very challenges we are facing. I talked about the issue of, I'll go a little bit of microfinance. I talk about taxis in Kampala. So like, why can't some of these old taxis leave Kampala, be sent away from Kampala because they are polluting? And some of them look dangerous. Some of them die on the way causing jam. You get? Like you look at a taxi and you know, if this one knocks me, I will get tetanus before I die of an accident.
Access a micro loan and buy your own board.
So I will tell you one thing. Somebody told me those taxis you see are owned by a Abanenim government.
Yeah, that's also another part.
The reality we are in is that the very people who have to implement these policies
are within the
have invested in the problems we need to solve.
They've invested in the problems.
It has affected education. It has affected microfinances. You may find that microfinances, that the challenges we are looking at, much as we need to implement and make sure that they're regulated, somebody who should be regulating it,
yes,
it has become a benefit for him.
Is the culprit behind?
You get. How? Solve the dilemma.
Well, a lot needs to be said. However, let's really highlight that despite the gaps that are continuously there, honestly, there is potential in microfinance, for the low income earners being able to access this, but also the way it's continuously changing. You know, at first they came off pretty hard and were very a little bit more stringent, but less stringent than the banks, of course. And that's why you had very many low income earners get to them. But right now there is emerging evidence that there are particular gaps. So what can be done? The idea about it is to be able to rectify this, right?
True.
The emerging gaps that continue to be done.
Because at the end of the day, we need to benefit. We need to see how we use it as a tool. These are tools that the government has approved to make sure that in their efforts in fighting poverty and wealth creation, as the president always emphasizes, these tools can support the system to strengthen and support Ugandans to benefit. And when you look at PDM, it's almost the same thing we're talking about, because it's money that's given to people, you get, to see how they can support some of these initiatives. Now, the issue is the people who are supporting the president.
Leave out the president from this. The president is not the alpha and omega. We have systems that
you can't say that, leave the president out of it. You know why?
Why?
Because at the end of the day, you're going to be the Ugandan that's going to be calling to President Museveni at Yambe.
You are the very same person, Noah, who mentioned it earlier, that you have existing systems.
Exactly.
Let them be called to book. Let them be called to book. Let them account as to why it's in shambles. People, this is Smart Means Business. We move on from 7 to 9. Coming up next is entertainment and sports. But let's take a short break and we'll be right back after that.
Thank you.
Smart 24, driving business.
Bulu magic is my joy. Ono bulu magic wange.
Ayo, talaba kumabala.
atukuza n'onyirirawo kirako ennyange tayisa bubi faburiki kyonna kyekiri kigwa lwa Blue Magic is my choice. Ono Blue Magic ye wange. And the Blue Magic is my choice. Ono Blue Magic ye wange.